Hello, I'm Nate the Effin' Great, and what did I just watch? Gosh, what a 24 hours it's actually been. Welcome to another edition of The Game Changer. I'm, of course, your host with the most, Nate the Effin' Great. And over the last 24 hours, I've been definitely getting into Vudu. Now, for a lot of people that don't know what Vudu is, it is an app in which you guys can actually rent and buy movies online. It's digital copies. It is one of the easiest and fastest ways to watch your favorites, some instant classics, and so on and so forth. Honestly, I've watched 3 different movies, and we're going to be talking about them tonight, or I should say today. It's actually a new day. As I'm recording this, it's about 12 o'clock midnight on Tuesday, so I do apologize for the late upload, but it's going to be worth it. I am also going to be talking about a couple of trailers that had been released over the last few days, and give my thoughts on them. But starting this off, you guys, we have to talk about Infinity War. It is again breaking records. It is again creating something absolutely amazing. It is creating just a bar to set for a lot of Marvel movies, especially big ones like this. Right now, it is sitting at $1.608 billion. That is absolutely insane. And as it stands right now, it is the 5th highest grossing movie of all time, the highest grossing movie of this year, the highest grossing superhero movie ever, and the 8th highest grossing film ever in the United States. This is just wow. Hard to believe how well received this movie is. A lot of people are still complaining about the end, but you know what? It's still creating a lot of ka-ching for the bling, so can't really complain about that too much. I want to talk about... Oh, I may have had a little glitch there, but we're good. First movie I want to talk about is the ever-classic Sound of Music. Now, I have not gotten a chance to watch this movie until yesterday. I've seen productions of it, but I've never actually seen the movie of it in its entirety. Honestly, you guys, it is just as good as I imagined it would be. I mean, the story is great. The characters are pretty lovable. The characters are also pretty well developed. I mean, the Von Trapp kids as well as Mr. Von Trapp, or I should say, he is a very interesting character, but he also does warm up, and he does start to kind of loosen up just a little bit as time goes on, as he develops an actual relationship with Maria. It is very well done. The songs are absolutely amazing. A lot of instant classics that a lot of people remember, of course. You know, The Hills Are Alive with the Sound of Music, Do Re Mi. I'm trying to think of some other ones. Oh boy, there has to be another one that I'm missing here that's very well known. What Are We Going to Do About Maria, I think is the name of that other one. And, 16 going on 17, which does provide my only issue with it. It's kind of a small issue, but at the same time, I feel like it's still a bit of a major issue here. That song definitely does bring out the young romance in the movie, and Rolf and Liesel, I think her name was, they had a really interesting, relationship throughout this movie. Of course, they couldn't see each other all the time because Liesel's has a strict dad, and Rolf couldn't do it all the time because he can only show up when he's got like telegrams. It's one of those relationships that I kind of was thinking like, oh, this could actually be really interesting. Let's see how well they do. But after that hit song, it kind of dies. It really does, because next time the two of them see each other, Rolf is basically brainwashed by the Nazi army, and Liesel's just kind of, moving on with her life after that. It's just really weird. I think that if I could change anything, I would have had the ending of the movie talk to Rolf as her family is escaping, talking about how, how can you forget the, relationship that we have? How can you forget the love that we shared? I think it would actually make for a very, very heartfelt moment, and I think it would have made people so, emotional to see that. And she could be the one who says, I know you. You're not like them. You're better than them. And it just was really weird that they kind of killed that off right away. But I mean, other than that, this is one of the first movies I've ever seen Julie Andrews actually have a relationship on screen. Because I think the only other movies I've seen her in have been The Princess Diaries. Yeah, I admit to watching that at least once. As well as Mary Poppins. But she never was, she never really had a relationship on screen. So it was very weird to see her have an actual relationship during this movie. Not to say that, she didn't deserve it. It was just really bizarre. It was one of those things that it was very hard to get used to, really. But in all honesty, I enjoyed this movie, and I think that is an absolutely instant classic, and it definitely holds true to its name, and it definitely is one of those, honestly, it's got to be a national treasure. So, final rating for this, I would give this movie a 4.5 out of 5 stars. Like I said, the only issue I had was that relationship between Rolf and Liesel. It's just so weird that they kind of cut that off. But, I mean, other than that, it was still a good movie. Like I said, pacing was good, characters are good, storytelling's easy to follow. Not bad at all. Alright, so from there we go to Spaceballs. Yes, the Mel Brooks film. This was a movie that I have on my list of movies that a lot of people definitely recommended, and I have just barely begun to scratch the surface of this list here. So I'll probably be spending the next few months looking at a lot of these movies, renting them on Vudu if I can. Some of them I might have to go to an actual family video and do it there, but that's okay. So Spaceballs, definitely major parodies of course, Star Trek, Star Wars, a lot of the science fiction stuff. There's a lot of fourth wall breaking deals. I love it. It is absolutely a hilarious movie. It is a great parody of all the great sci-fi hit movies that were going on during that time. And oh my gosh, I love those fourth wall breaking moments, such as the one where they had an extra copy of the Spaceballs movie that they just play right in the middle of the movie, and then they fast forward to a part where they just start looking at themselves doing the exact same thing on the television monitor. It was so funny. Or even the scene where I think it was like a Dark Helmet, where he's basically asking, who are the guys that are firing this, and basically admitting it's like, well, that he's an asshole. This guy's an asshole. How many assholes do we have on this ship? And everybody's like raising their hands, except for like 2 people I think I noticed. And he just says the line, "I'm surrounded by assholes." The fact that they are using so many of these jokes, including literal humor, it is absolutely wonderful. There's not very many movies that are doing that, but also I think that they don't want to insult the intelligence of the audience. But this is still one of those movies that I watch and I think this is a great parody movie. I mean, this is what a parody movie should be. It's not insulting the intelligence. They're kind of following a little bit of what you would expect from from like from a parody movie, like some things that you would see from people that can say like, oh, this was like from Star Wars, this was like from Star Trek. Absolutely awesome. I absolutely loved it. It's a really good movie. Do I think it's the best comedy I've seen of all time? No, I can't really say that with confidence. But it is still very good, and I can understand why a lot of people really enjoyed it. Final rating for this one, I would give this one about 3.5 out of 5 stars. It's still a very funny movie. It definitely holds up. There's some points during the movie where it gets a little too ridiculous, but for the most part, like I said, it's a really good movie, and I absolutely enjoyed it. So if you haven't gotten a chance to at least watch Spaceballs once, I would definitely recommend that. Alright, and this was just a recent movie that I watched before I decided to do this episode, and that was the movie 1981. Jeez Louise. And this is actually one of the first few movies that I can remember one of the actors' name. I think everybody else, I was just kind of like, who's this, who's this, who's this? And then I hear Dennis Quaid, and I'm like, oh, yeah, I remember Dennis Quaid. And I feel like I should watch more Dennis Quaid movies. I mean, of course, this is a purely based comedy, and it is just so simplified to a T what this movie is, because it's a story about kids who are just, going through life. They're battling dinosaurs. They basically invent things like fire and music and weapons, yada, yada, yada. But it's still it still has very funny moments, and still a lot of moments where it's just like, oh, okay, well, this is interesting. And I think that what really end where the main lead came in, he seems like he's going for like the hottest babe, the hottest one there in the entire tribe, but then he just drops her in let's face it, it's in a pile of shit. And he goes with the girl that has been with him since he really started the tribe. So he really appreciates the people that have been there for him since day one, who have not abandoned him. He's really become a strong-willed leader, and it's really cool to see that kind of evolution evolve. And I can understand why people nowadays can look at it and be like, this kind of sucks. But I mean, the story itself is still pretty good. I'm not going to lie. It's not at all the worst movie that I've seen. It's actually pretty good, and I can understand, back in the day that it was so hyped up. And actually, if I can look at the box office really quick, because I think it had a very surprising number of how much money that it actually made. I'm trying to remember exactly. Like I said, 1981... $15 million. $15.9 million. Wow. I mean, still, people of that time, they really enjoyed it. And, I mean, back then, the CGI animation was, that was top of the line right there. But it was still very good. It was still very good. And I think that there were some parts where I'm like, oh, I can definitely see where this could freak somebody out if they watched it for the first time. Rotten Tomatoes actually gave that movie a 24%. I'm not going to be that brutal to them. I'm actually going to give these guys 3 out of 5 stars. A pretty average movie. There's some pretty funny moments, though, but it's still actually a very good movie. I think that, again, it's one of those movies that people need to see at least once and say, oh, okay, this is something I enjoy. And it gives you a little more appreciation for the stuff that you have nowadays, especially with the CGI animation, how much it's evolved, as well as, the acting, because there's some... Oh, they're really doing this, and actually, it's really crazy. One of the actresses who plays Tala, apparently her audition was no lines of English. She just came in and she did like a bunch of grunts and groans and stuff like that, and that's how she got the part. So there's very little English. The only English that you'll hear in this movie is with a Korean guy who is just there saying like, oh no, this means, fire, this means love, this means, this means this, and this means that. And all the other cavemen, they're just like, what? And then he just speaks their language. It's like, okay, so he's the one that's going to basically rule the world in about another year, at least. But again, it's a really good movie, and I quite enjoy it. Okay. Let's talk about 2 trailers that have actually come out. And actually, this is going to be a major hype for the Season 2 premiere this Friday, May 18th, of the Netflix series 13 Reasons Why. So, for those of you that have actually seen my initial review of 13 Reasons Why, you'll know that it's one of those series that definitely hits close to home, because I've dealt with people who have indeed committed suicide, and I've dealt with depression. This is just an absolutely tremendous and very well done series that definitely really gets your emotions going. Now, with Season 2, I thought that this was one of those series where it's just like, well, maybe they should only just do one and just call it one and done. No, they're going with Season 2, and what's going to happen in Season 2 is that they're going to continue the story after all these tapes, I think, have been released, and after all the people have listened to the tapes. It's going to basically get a lot more interesting. It's definitely going to it's going to be a lot more dramatic. It's going to be a lot more drama-filled. I know that's the same thing, but it's 1 o'clock in the morning, so sue me. So, I'm very interested in seeing what's going to happen here. It definitely seems like there is going to be a trial for Bryce for his sexual assault, not only against Hannah, but he may have also be convicted for other assaults against other women, because during the trailer, there's a picture that falls out of Clay's locker, and he looks at it, and he looks on the back, and it said Hannah wasn't the only one. So this is one of those series where things are going to get very, very interesting. And the fact is that this is going to be very graphic. It's going to be very mature content related. I look at this and I think to myself, wow, this is going to escalate real fast, because you definitely see Bryce shooting daggers at Clay. I think he actually makes a little wink or a gesture at I think it was Jessica was her name. I think it was. Where he's just basically threatening to kill Clay. It's just one of those things where I am very interested in seeing where this goes. Is there going to be justice for Hannah? Is there going to be justice for people who have fell under the same been victimized, I should say, by Bryce? Or is he just going to get away scot-free? And it's going to be very interesting, because now we kind of get to see where the parents' reaction to Hannah's suicide, why she did it. And they're going to probably listen to every single one of these tapes, and they're going to know, Hannah says that this person is one of the reasons why, this person another reason why, this person another reason why, this person another reason why. I think that they are going to go a little bit easy on Clay, because they realize how much Clay meant to Hannah. So I don't see too many. I think maybe there's like one instance, I think, in this series where they're probably going to have Hannah's parents confront Clay and say, like, why didn't you just stop our daughter, and why didn't you just, be there for her, something like that. And I think Clay's going to be battling through that still traumatic deal of trying to not only move on, but still get past the deal where he needs to forgive himself and realize that, it's not his fault that, Hannah took her life. He's not, he's not one of those persons that's to blame, where it's like, you're the reason why, Why Hannah explained, the reasons why, and this is one of those series that is definitely going to be, again, very dramatic, very emotional, and it's going to definitely be very interesting, because it's going to get dark real fast. So, yeah, my thoughts on this is that I'm looking forward to starting, and I will, again, do what I did last time. I will not do a review on 13 Reasons Why Season 2 until a week after it has indeed been on Netflix. So, you guys have 7 days, and it's a fair deal. So go check it out, you guys. It premieres on Netflix this Friday. I will have two nights off where I can actually watch that. So I'll be binge watching that probably for those 2 nights. Alright. From there, we go on to an interesting trailer. This was a trailer that got released, I want to say 3-4 days ago, and that is the trailer for the Little Mermaid. Now, before a lot of people are getting pissed about this because this is not the Little Mermaid Disney version. No, they're still in the process of working on that. I think they've got a director, they got producers, they got everything, but they need to find a cast. And unfortunately, a lot of the cast members that they have in mind for Ariel have either not worked out or they've dropped out. I think that Chloe Martinez, I think was her name. She was Carrie in that in the Carrie remake. She was also in Bad Neighbors 2. She was originally, but unfortunately, she eventually dropped out. Why? I don't know. But I'm kind of shocked at that. I'm kind of shocked nobody's really stepped up and said, hey, I want to be Ariel. Hey, I want to be Ariel. But maybe there's a lot of people that are very skeptical because there's a lot of people that are very critical about these live-action Disney movies. But then there's a lot of people that are going to say, like, well, why am I not doing this now? Because I would love to be a part of those live-action Disney movies. But anyway, so this trailer is very different because the mermaid in this movie is actually in a circus and she's on display. She looks wonderful. People are basically they're helping her. One guy doesn't really believe in mermaids, and then there's like this deal where the ringmaster apparently knows the secret of the mermaid, of like her power or something like that. Kind of interesting to see how that kind of plays out. I don't know what's going to happen, but it's going to be interesting to see how they do this. The mermaid's name is actually not Ariel, but it is Elizabeth, which I think is smart because, of course, they already are running into copyright reasons because of the fact that they're using the name Little Mermaid. But to have the name Elizabeth works interestingly because then we are dealing with, a completely different Little Mermaid. And of course, that's going to be the one thing that, puts it aside from the one that's going to be in the live-action movie. So, the live-action movie that Disney's going to do. So, very interested to see how they do this. I guess there's also like this deal during the trailer where she transforms into a human. Not like the Pirates of the Caribbean one where she just goes on land and she turns into a human. No, it's more, I think that she turns human when the moon doesn't come out. Or when the moon comes out. I don't know, that's a little bit confusing for me. I'm not sure what exactly is going to happen with that. So I'm very interested to see how they explain this. It looks like a very interesting movie. It comes out in August, so if anybody's interested in seeing how somebody else decides to do The Little Mermaid, I would definitely suggest going to see it. I'm going to probably go see it one time, and we'll go from there. Thank you so much for being a part of this late edition of Monday Review. This Thursday, again, guys, I will be going solo and I will be talking about the 10 most emotional moments in television as well as movies as selected by myself, so that way nobody gets the idea that, oh, this is what everybody says. Nope, these are my selections, so be sure to check that out, and it probably would be a good idea to get some tissues too, because some of these moments you'll definitely remember. So don't forget to check me out on Twitter at RealEffingGame. Be sure to give us a like on our Facebook fan page at changingupthegame.com. So with that being said, guys, I have been Nate the Effing Great. Thank you so much. Enjoy your week, and I will talk to you guys on Thursday. Bye-bye.